Let's hear from the man.
Well, thanks for coming, everyone, and thanks, Buck, for the introduction. And I do want to thank Barbara and Carissa. I wouldn't have been able to put this show up if it weren't for them helping assist me. And definitely it's been back and forth on a daily basis for the past couple of months to get to this moment. I want to thank my family and friends that have come down, and I really appreciate other people that have been able to meet this evening or that I'm going to meet hopefully after talk. Definitely please come up and introduce yourself, and I'll try to make my way around the room. So real quick, I lived in New York for a few years, and I moved back to Nebraska 18 months ago. And when I was in New York, I was really homesick for Nebraska, and it wasn't just my friends and family, but it was for the land. And I was dating a gal at the time that I was head over heels in love with, and she would ask me questions like, what's Nebraska like? And she was from New York, New Jersey, and we planned on coming to visit Nebraska together, but things ended up not happening, and we parted ways. And but it really stuck with me of what Nebraska was like, and it became less about, well, actually it became more about the land itself. And my favorite moments in Nebraska in the landscape is out with my dog and going for a walk and seeing the sunrise, or seeing the sunset, or seeing the thunderstorms in June, or seeing the fireflies come out in the summertime, or seeing the yellow wildflowers on the interstate like it is now, or seeing the corn stalks turn gold. And I think the thing that's kind of a paradox is I want to share this feeling that I have when I'm in that space in Nebraska. And I think that if I brought anyone that I cared about into that space with me, I wouldn't have that feeling, because that feeling has to be just me personally alone in the land and nature. And that's what kind of sparked this show. So with it, these paintings are really emotional paintings for me, and it's pretty romantic, and that kind of coincides with why the titles, I think, are a little bit heavy with some of them. And but now seeing the show up, the show is really for anyone that's lived or grew up in Nebraska, and I hope that anyone that sees these paintings, it really creates a nostalgic moment or an emotional connection, whatever your experience is. And I just hope that people enjoy them. And I really enjoyed painting them, and it just made me more inspired that I just want to paint more and more of the Nebraska landscape moving forward. And I'm really excited to see what happens while I spend more time in the studio moving forward. And again, I want to thank Buck, and I want to thank Kiechel for this opportunity. They've been fantastic, and I really appreciate everything that Kiechel does for Lincoln, Nebraska, but also for the art community too, and especially for landscape painters like myself.
Chad, if you could, the Aztec. I mean,
yeah.
it's such an interesting medium. It's something that I have not seen before. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to work with it, and what you like about it, and what kind of inspired you to do the series?
Yeah, so I started out being a watercolor painter. And one of the aspects of being a watercolorist is you leave a little bit of white on the paper for kind of that negative space. And through my time working with Aaron Holtz and seeing him do these beautiful paintings on these pristine surfaces that he would create with resin on the wood panels, it made me become more interested on surface, especially for paintings. And I started experimenting painting on different surfaces, whether it be thicker brown paper or cardboard, and then I came across a transparency film, and I started painting on it, and just kind of looking at the effects and the textures and what I could do with the surface. And what I found is I'll paint on on one side of the acetate, and then I'll have these really interesting textures on the flip side. And that's why if you look at them, you don't really see the thickness or like painterly marks that you normally would on like an oil on canvas painting. It's because with all the acetates, it's the reverse side that you're looking at for the front. And it's been really interesting, and I've really, the past few years, honed in on the technique to get certain effects, but there's also just those moments where I don't know what's going to happen, and sometimes it works out really well where I have these really magical moments and textures that come through, and then sometimes it looks a little bit muddy. But one thing that I really like is some of the crackling that happens where you can see through the translucency of the acetate, and kind of creates just these really cool moments. And one thing I've noticed too is if I put the painting on a dark background, or if I put it on a white background like it is with how it's framed on the white mat, it really changes the atmosphere of the paintings. So it's just a variable that I thought was really interesting, so I just wanted to explore it. And I've never seen anyone else do anything like that.
Anyone have any other questions, Chad? Well, Chad will be around